once 6th, 7th, and 8th grade are moved from the current facility, then we want to do some minor renovations to that facility. If you picture the middle school now, it's on Bell Street and League Street. On the left, it's all of the academic classrooms. On the right is the cafeteria and the gymnasium. We don't think it's safe in our society today to have 3rd and 4th graders going back and forth between those two buildings during the day when they are needing to go to the cafeteria or the gymnasium or the band or choir or whatever is going on. So we want to build a connection between those two buildings for the safety of the students. When the 3rd and 4th grades are moved from the elementary schools, then that would give us room at the elementary schools for the teachers that are now teaching in closets and book rooms and storage areas and equipment areas that we've cleaned out, would give them space so that they can get out of those crowded situations and have classrooms for their instruction. I would invite you to visit elementary schools. The middle school as well. Right now at the middle school there are 8 teachers that are teaching on carts. That means they don't have a classroom, and they have their materials on a cart, and they have to push that cart to a classroom that's vacant to have class, and then they move to another classroom the next period. If you've been in elementary schools and middle schools, you know that a classroom is a learning environment. It's the teaching environment, and they use that classroom to display all kinds of instructional materials as well as the students' work. And at the elementary schools, we have nurses and counselors, reading teachers, any kind of special teachers that are teaching in areas that you wouldn't believe that they can be successful teaching in those small areas. By moving our 3rd and 4th grade, that gives us space. Austin School is 70 years old. Austin School has been a tremendous school, and some of you probably went there, and I hear all the time about success stories and stories of people remembering when they were in Austin School. But things have changed in the past 70 years. We're required now to have technology to prepare students for the 21st century. We can't get enough electrical circuits in an old building like that without completely redoing everything to get the technology in there that we need. This year, and we try not to air our dirty laundry, but this is pretty dirty. We had raw sewage running out on the ground at that campus. The clay pipes under the building have decayed, and probably that raw sewage is just running in the ground under the building. We also have some structural damage to that building. You know, we spend a lot of money every year trying to maintain an old building, but you get to the point that you think, when is it time to stop spending all the money maintaining and get something better for those kids and those teachers? And we think that this is the time. So Austin School, would no longer be an elementary campus. Bowie, Lamar, and Travis would be the 3 campuses for grades 1 and 2. Douglas is our 5th grade campus, and Douglas has been very successful. It is a wonderful transition from the elementary schools to the middle school. I know there have been some concerns that have been expressed concerning the location of that school, but we need to keep a school in that neighborhood. And I'm a little reluctant to say that. I had been saying that we had not had vandalism, and that had been true. We hadn't had vandalism in that school until about a week and a half ago. And I don't know what happens sometime to teenagers and young folks and the drugs and the gangs and all those things going on. I just can't understand that. But We did have vandalism, but Douglas is not the only school that we've had vandalism. We've had that in other schools, and the folks in that neighborhood are proud of that school. They have pride in that school, and they really watch out for that school. And if you read in the newspaper, heard on the radio, those folks were caught very quickly that had done the damage in that community. It wasn't just to Douglas School, it was to houses and it was to vehicles. And they were caught very quickly because I think some of the people in that neighborhood watch out, and they know what's going on. So anyway, Douglas will remain a 5th grade, and we need to add some classrooms there because just like on the other campuses, programs are expanding the mandates that the state has. We have to provide for students, and we have to have space in order to do that. And then we did build a track between the high school and the early childhood. It's over by the softball field and the tennis courts. But the only thing that we have is a track. And we can't use that track for anything except practice. There are city codes that say if you use a track for any of your facilities for competition, you must have parking, seating, restrooms, and lighting. And as you know, if you've built anything, those things are very, very expensive, and we have not been able to do that out of our regular school budget. So in order to complete that track and also use it for soccer, we have to complete those things. Right now, our soccer is played on Prim Stadium. And if you think about where the baseball field is located, they're back to back. We can't schedule baseball and soccer at the same time, and their seasons run the same. We can't schedule them at the same time because if a foul ball, goes over and hits a student playing soccer, and that has happened in districts. I mean, that's just something we never ever want to happen, so we can't schedule those games at the same time. By moving the soccer to the track, then that will alleviate that problem. The other part of this bond issue is a multi-purpose building, and people say, oh, that's just for football. No, it's not just for football. It's for all extracurricular activities. The first period of the day, we use band because that's when the band students have their practice. And instead of having to practice out on the field when it is very, very cold, wet, muddy, whatever, they would have a place to practice. In addition to that, all of the sports will use that building. Football is the last part of the day. So throughout the day, there can be PE classes in there, there can be nets with different sports practicing in there. That facility will be utilized every period of every day. There will be more than 700 students using that facility on a regular basis. Not only is it a practice field, but it will have some classrooms in it, it will have dressing rooms. Right now, our students, we don't have enough locker space in the dressing rooms for each student to have a locker, and so they have to double up. That's not really a good situation. We don't have a place for our tennis girls and our softball girls to change clothes, and so often they change clothes in their car after school before they go over to soccer and tennis. We're trying to alleviate some of those situations. Okay, you want to know what the financial impact is, and I have a sheet, and let's talk about that for just a minute. And I think it's important that you have this information before we discuss it. Mickey is the financial director of the district. I can answer some of your questions. She can answer all of them if it's dealing with finance.